Welcome to The Outside Story, a podcast that is dedicated to reviewing film and TV shows from an outside perspective. We are three second-generation Asian American siblings who grew up in Northern California. Before listening to our podcast, we recommend that you watch the film or TV show that is being discussed. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of The Outside Story. My name is Jonathan, and today with me I have my two wonderful siblings and co-hosts.
Hi guys, I'm Jessica.
And I'm Larry.
Today we'll be taking a look at two films that will be screening at the Seattle Asian American Film Festival. Those two films are Happy Cleaners and Songling. Happy Cleaners is a melodramatic movie that follows a Korean American family as they struggle with the closing of their longtime family dry cleaning business. And Songling deals with a debt collector, or a loan shark, by the name of Dung Thunderbolt, who is famous in his neighborhood for what he does. When he's sent to collect debt from a local theater, he runs into a young man named Lin Feng, the star of the current theater production, and a relationship begins to form between the both of them. A big thank you to the Seattle Asian American Film Festival for letting us preview these films before the festival. If you have any interest in seeing the films at all after listening to our podcast, please be sure to buy tickets to the festival that's happening on February 20th through the 23rd. You'll definitely see me, Jonathan, at a few of the screenings. For this review, we're going to start with some non-spoilers, like a non-spoiler section. So those of you who don't want spoilers can still listen. And then we'll let you know once we head into spoiler territory. So without further ado, let's get started on our review for these two films. We're going to start with Happy Cleaners. Jess, do you want to start with your initial thoughts on this film?
Yeah, I can start off. So I originally I watched a trailer for this and I was like, oh, it looks interesting. It looks really good. I, for some reason, thought it was a documentary. I don't know why. I know you told me it wasn't, but
Yeah.
for some reason, I just thought it was. Anyways, but I liked this film. I think it told a great story of just family, of an immigrant family, and I think that a lot of Asian Americans can really relate to this, as most Asian families did, immigrate from another country. And yeah, it was kind of weird, not weird, because I was kind of seeing myself reflected in like this story and in the storylines, and from all the characters, like you can just, like, from coming from like an immigrant family, and as a child of an immigrant, you like the struggles, and the emotions and the things that our parents have gone through in order for us to get to where we are today. So yeah, I thought it was good. I liked it a lot.
Larry?
Yeah, me too. I liked it a lot. I just kind of went in blind. I didn't watch any trailers or anything. And yeah, it surprised me. I wasn't really too sure what it was going to be about. I didn't even know it was a Korean film. I really didn't. I just kind of hopped in, and then they started speaking Korean. I'm like, okay, this is a Korean film. And as the story just started to kind of keep going and start to unravel, and I'm like, yeah, I like where this is going. It's more of like a there's no real story. You know what I mean? And that's what I really, really like. The Farewell kind of has this vibe too. Same thing. I'm always because Happy Cleaners just kind of is in that same field, because it's about like an Asian American experience. Like, I'm just gonna always be comparing it to like Wong Fu stuff or like Farewell, just because they're kind of in that same vein.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really like this film a lot, more than I thought I would have, and I didn't really know where it's gonna go. But I really, really liked. Yeah, I like this film. There's nothing more. I can just keep saying it. I really, really like this film.
What about you, Jonathan?
For me, I also really enjoyed this film. I went in knowing somewhat what it was about, but for the most part, I didn't really have any idea, and I didn't really watch any trailers. Uh, yeah, and I was very surprised at the quality of production, of like the acting and everything that just made this film what it is. Like I was very I was pleasantly surprised, and I don't mean that my expectations are lower. That's not what I mean. But
Yeah.
when you just sit down to watch a film, you don't really know what you're going to get yourself into.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then so at the very end of it, I was like, man, that was very powerful. The stories that were told in that film from each of the characters, and the performances by the actors and everything. I think just in general, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, those are kind of my first very initial thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just.
Oh,
Oh
no.
no, go ahead.
Oh
Go
no,
ahead.
I was just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, because this is like a lower production kind of attempt, I was afraid of how the actors were gonna be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like sometimes it can be really, really, really bad, but sometimes it can just be like really, really, really good. And the main family is actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked them all. Just I know you mentioned in your thoughts you weren't a fan with one of the characters, but I
Yeah.
actually I liked all the actors. I thought they did a really good job. Very
Yeah.
very good performances. Very convincing about their role.
Yeah.
The Oma is like pretty much like a super Oma of the family, and the same with
Yeah.
like all the other characters. Like they fill their roles very very well. So
I agree. Like, can I say that now? That's not really spoiling it, right? Like, the performances from the mom and the
Mm-hmm.
dad, those are probably hands down my favorite
Yeah.
performances
Yeah.
from the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. I feel like the parents' performances were really good, and there were moments where, and then for the son and the daughter, there were moments where the both of them had really good scenes. Where they had a scene and it was like, oh my gosh, like that actor like just came through, just like I really believed what it is that they were going through. And then there are moments where I was like, oh, like they should have brought what was in the previous scene into this one,
Yeah. Yeah.
But overall, I wasn't disappointed,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I really my award for acting for this film goes to the mother, the actress who played the mother. I
Yeah.
feel like she probably did the best.
Yeah.
And I was very moved by her performance.
I think she's actually won an award back in like the 80s or something, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, so not surprised. I'm not surprised. She's a very, very good actress.
Yeah. Yeah. I had the names of them pulled up somewhere, but I don't have them right now.
I want to talk about the production quality.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so it reminded me a lot of Short Term 12. I know you guys both seen it.
Yeah.
It had that very indie feel, but like still very, very strong production quality. It doesn't look like a really, really cheap iPhone camera film that they made last minute. Like you can tell they put a lot of time, a lot of craft, into this film, and that's what I really, really liked. And you can kind of tell it was directed by two people, correct?
Yeah.
Like two
Yes.
co-directors, yeah. I could definitely tell like it was
Yeah.
definitely a passion project for these two, and
Yeah.
you can definitely like feel their story is just kind of emitting from what we see on screen, and you can tell like how much they cared about it, because of their production quality. So
Yeah. About production design, and I think, yeah, like what you were saying there, I think they did a really good job. I think there were only a few moments in specific scenes for me where I thought maybe the camera should have been somewhere else,
Yeah,
to like
yeah.
focus on the characters and
yeah.
just like the emotion, like you want like your audience to feel. I think that was the only miss for me. There were just a few scenes like that, not a lot, just a few, where I'm just like, oh, I wish the camera was facing like a different way, or yeah,
Mhm.
or if it was like placed somewhere else, I think we would have gotten like the what the directors wanted to convey in that specific scene.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the like pictures or like screenshots of the film that came out with the press release were like really really like well composed and well shot. And so
Mhm.
yeah, I'm a huge fan of what's happening with the production here.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah. Cool. Any other non spoiler thoughts on this one? If not, let's move on to the next one.
Sure.
I don't think so. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm good.
I'm good too.
Okay, cool. So we're moving on now to the second film, which is called Song Lang. Um, Larry, why don't you give us your initial thoughts on this one?
Sure. So I watched this like back to back with Happy Cleaners, and that wasn't a good idea because I was a little burnt from Happy Cleaners. Um, Happy Cleaners is actually a relatively slow film, and so Song Lang is a really slow film. The
And they're
first,
both not
yeah,
emotionally heavy at all.
yeah, exactly. Like because most films nowadays they kind of hook you real quick. You know, they try to just set everything up in the first 5-10 minutes and just kind of get
Yeah.
you started. But in this film, like nothing happens for the first 30 minutes for me, and so I was like,
Yeah.
man, like it's so much setup, but like it is good setup. But like for me, like I had such a hard time following the story. I was like, what's going on? What's happening? And I'm not too familiar. It's the film's in Vietnamese, and I'm not very familiar or with hearing Vietnamese languages.
Yeah.
So it threw me off because I couldn't like follow along too well.
Mm.
Yeah, but then when it started getting more interesting at the halfway point, like the 30-40 minute mark, that's when the story starts to kind of settle in, and I start to realize that, oh, this is actually more of like a character based film. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I was I really like the setting, the coloring, the toning. It's really nice. It's very like orange, like it's supposed to be
Yeah.
like 80s. Most 80s kind of have that John Wick look, very purple,
Yeah.
violet-ish look for 80s stuff. But this one's like straight up orange. It looks like
Or I feel like it was really muted.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very orange, as in like when you have like like a light bulb that's like dying. You know, not like a fresh light bulb, but like a light bulb that's been on for ages, like street lights you see. You know what I mean? Like it had that look,
Yeah.
which is what I like because it's very consistent throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I liked that. But yeah,
Yeah.
overall, I need to watch this film again because I feel like I didn't give it a good chance. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts. I wanna watch it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Jess?
I really liked it. I watched the trailer for this one too, and just from the trailer alone, I was like, oh my god, this looks like an epic film. You know what I mean? I was like, the music, I was like, okay, I'm sold. The music sold me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a sucker for like a good score and a good soundtrack. But
Yeah.
yeah, my initial thoughts, I really liked it. Like Larry said, it was a little slow to begin with, like just setting up the story, but I did I did really like it. The performances from both the two main characters was great. Um, like similar to Larry, I don't think I've ever seen a Vietnamese film. This is probably my first one because growing up we really watched like Hmong dubs of Chinese films. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so mostly growing up we watched a lot of Chinese films, Japanese films, and like when for me like when I got older I started watching like Korean films. But this is my first Vietnamese film, which is very surprising, and it surprised me a lot. Like what Larry said earlier about like hearing like Vietnamese. Growing up in Sacramento, we did hear a lot of it because I mean a lot of my friends are Vietnamese. We went, there's Stockton Boulevard where all the Vietnamese shops are, so like you hear it, like in the music and stuff like that, but actually listening to it,
Mm-hmm.
it was very interesting. Actually, like watching the whole film and just listening to like the dialogue. I really liked that. But yeah, I don't think I would have ever chosen like a Vietnamese film to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I feel like yeah, because Vietnamese films,
There's not that
maybe
many.
yeah, there's not that
Mm-hmm.
many, or maybe there just aren't many that get like a lot of like traction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's yeah, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. The storyline was great. I kind of wish there was more.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I want I
I
want
want that
more.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted
Yeah.
more. I was like, no, it can't just end here. I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
fine. Yeah, those are my that's my initial reaction
Yeah.
for Songlang.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting that you guys that you mentioned, Jessica, about like this is your first Vietnamese film. I think this is also my first Vietnamese film too.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Shame.
is
Yeah.
oh, is it? Wait, I thought you watched that action film.
No, it's not. I'm saying shame on you too.
Oh, shame.
Yeah, shame.
Wait,
I've
but
seen.
this is your second.
No, this is my fourth. This
Oh,
is my
okay.
fourth Vietnamese film. So I've
Okay.
seen Vietnamese films, and like I said, they're actually all the same production quality like this. So
Like they're all really good.
yeah, they're actually pretty well
Okay.
produced. They're all pretty
Yeah.
well done. So I
Interesting.
don't know why like they're just not getting
Yeah.
much traction. They're actually
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah, I'm really excited that there are some Southeast Asian like films being highlighted at the film festival that's coming up. I the only Southeast Asian film I've seen besides this one, I mean, I've seen some Thai ones,
True.
Shutter, for example, and then I've seen Dearest Sister. That's also a horror one. But yeah, so this is kind of this is the first Vietnamese one that I've seen. And just like Happy Cleaners, just pleasantly surprised, like after watching this film. Again, not saying that like the expectation was that it was going to be bad. That's not what I mean. But what I mean is, any film, when you sit down, you don't really know what you're getting. And at the end, I was really glad that I watched it. And yeah, I definitely wanted more from the story. I was like trying so hard not to look at where the how much longer the film had,
Yeah.
Like I was trying not to figure out like where I was in the story. I was just gonna be like, okay, like I'm just gonna go, and then when it ends,
Yeah.
And then like almost towards the end of it, I was like, man, what's gonna happen now, and how much longer is this gonna be? And for me, I thought it ended a little too quickly.
I thought so too.
That's just me though.
Yeah, I feel like there was so much build up, and then it's just like, boom, that's it. Oh. I was like, what? No, you can't just leave me there. Leave me hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my thoughts on my initial thoughts on the actors and the two main leads are just amazing.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of either of these two.
Yeah.
But after seeing them in this film, I want to see them in more films. Yeah.
Can I make one more?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
I guess a thought. And I liked the setting of the film because, I guess growing up, for me, like I just never really thought about like life in a different country, a Southeast Asian country during that specific time. You know what I mean? Because we never really got to see that on film, and we don't really get to hear about it in the history books unless you go looking
Right.
for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I really liked that it took us to the setting in the 80s.
Right.
It's just like, okay, like was it similar in fashion and style and
Right.
things that were similar to the stuff in the US. And
Right.
so I really liked that. And then another note is the way it was directed, cinematography, production design, color grading. I was like, oh my god, this film is beautiful. Like just the color itself. I was just like, I was sold. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like it's really beautiful.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
if you
And
look at the movie poster, if
no,
you
no,
look at
go
the
ahead.
movie poster, that's like the coloring of the movie poster is literally what what you're
Yeah,
getting
the
with the
whole
film.
movie is, yeah,
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 Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it's not even widescreen or full screen. Or yeah, it's not even widescreen. It has that
the cutoff,
yeah,
right?
the
Like,
cutoff. So it makes it
it's
look
just
like
like
it's
the
this.
really
square.
old.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
it implies that it's like, this is like an old kind of film, um and it has that aesthetic to it, because most films
yeah,
nowadays they'll
yeah,
just be like a full widescreen thing, but here like
yeah,
they really want to emphasize where it took place.
yeah. It,
And that kind of old school feel definitely added
yeah,
to it when
yeah,
they filmed it in that ratio. Yeah.
yeah. Because I think it's very nostalgic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it almost felt like you were there.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
That's what it felt
right,
like for me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right. And I think that's what good like filmmaking and storytelling is. Like they're able
Yeah.
to like transport you, teleport you like straight into that time.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can really tell they did so much work with the colors and stuff like
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
that. Yeah. Do you guys want to talk more about the actors?
Um, like their performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really liked Isaac. I mean, that's his real name. That's the actor's name,
Yeah.
Isaac. Which was surprising. I was like, oh, okay, hello, Isaac.
He's like, one name like Beyonce.
Oh,
Call me Isaac.
Madonna. Yeah, I was like, okay, hey, you must be like super popular in Vietnam or something. Um, to just be have one name, but I really
Right.
liked his performance. The other guy, I think his name is Lian. I could be
Mhm.
wrong. I think that's his name, but it's funny because I liked his performance, but his emotions were really just like one note. Like I understand that why, because that's his character, but it was very
Yeah.
like one note. But I still liked his performance. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
bad or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like both of the actors' performances. I felt they did really, really well. I'm not going to talk too much about stuff, but then I do. But then if I were to have to give an award for like who's the best actor in this film, it would be to Isaac as well.
Yeah.
Because there's this one scene where he has this monologue, and I just feel like I was just like, oh my gosh, here's your award. Like you can sit down now.
Here's your Oscar.
like it was just I was just so moved, like just by hearing him, like hearing him speak that monologue, and then just watching him act. I was just floored by his
Yeah.
performance. Yeah.
Can I? No, I think this is going to be spoiling it. I'll wait. I'll wait.
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Okay.
I'll wait. Yeah.
All right. Any other non-spoiler comments about either of these films?
I don't think so. Larry?
Nope. Let's get spoiling.
Let's get spoiling.
Mhm.
All right. So here's your major warning. We're heading into spoiler territory now. So if you don't care, or if you know you're not gonna have time to go and see these films, keep on listening with us. If not, you should stop the podcast right now and then come back after you've watched the films and listen to what we have to say about the story and everything everything else that's happening in these films. Okay, great.
Spoiler time.
Spoiler time.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's start with Happy Cleaners.
Sure.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
You go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spoiler time. Let me see. I like overall, like I said previously, I really liked the film. I thought it was a little slow at times. I was just like, and it's just me. It's my preference. I need music in films. Like, I think it just helps. Like, I know if it's good storytelling, like you don't need it. You know what I mean? Or like the music helps it along. But I think like music could have really helped this movie go along further, or help to like convey the whatever they wanted to convey, or emotion they wanted to convey in a specific scene. Like I said, there were a few scenes that were a little awkward at times. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't like the camera. Is it called camera blocking or something? I don't know what the technical term is, Larry.
I don't know what you're referring to though.
It's like
It's just
I don't.
composure, I guess, like
It's just
shot composure.
Compositing?
composure. Okay,
Compositing?
Yeah.
that could be it then. It's just like, okay, two characters are talking, but like they're talking from behind. You see them from behind.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It's not traditional compositing. I can tell you that for sure.
okay, yeah, because I was like, oh, I think I would have liked it if it was. I mean, a few times it would like go to their face and then go to the back and then like go from the sides.
Mhm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a little weird
Does
to me.
It's
any
weird. I thought it was
particular
fine.
scene come to mind?
The one where the daughter and her boyfriend are at the park and they're talking.
Yeah.
That one. No, is it they're either at the park or there's another scene where they were just sitting at a bench.
With the
One of
breakup
those.
scene?
They're both at parks.
Yeah. I think there are a few scenes where they're at the park.
Yeah.
Or at a bench. But
Mhm.
it was like those, it was like that, and then there was like another scene where the boyfriend was talking to the mom. They were outside the apartment.
Yeah.
Like he was just like kind of waiting there. And I was like, oh, I don't know if it was just like his like direction, like the way he was directed to stand.
Yeah.
It seemed like a little awkward, you know what I mean?
I remember that scene where he's standing in front of the apartment building.
Yeah.
That was very awkward. I think it was
very
just,
awkward.
Yeah, I thought it was just, for me, when I saw that, I thought it was just the actor. Like the direction that the actor was taking with the standing there.
Yeah.
Like he just didn't know how to stand there.
It's supposed to be awkward, right? Because that's his first time meeting the mom. No,
he didn't go there to meet the mom though. He went there to meet the
to see the girlfriend,
Oh,
and then he just bumped into the mom.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So like a few things like that like really made it awkward, and then like another note that I put down was that the non people of color, like their roles were a little cringy.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it was just the actors themselves, just like it seemed really like fake. Does that make sense?
No, their acting reminded me of actors you see in like Hong Kong films. When you see foreigners in Hong Kong films, it reminded me exactly like that. And I was like scratching my head. I was like, this is in America, right?
Yeah.
Why does it remind me of that?
Oh man.
Like when the customer, the lady was like super pissed off. Like that scene, I was just like, oh, like I get what they're trying to do, but I really don't like this scene. Like how it was just like how the actors were doing it. You know what I mean?
Even like interaction with the landlord too. Same thing.
Yeah, the landlord.
Real bad.
The non people of color. Yeah, I was like, oh, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I was like, okay.
Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I didn't like his scenes at all either. And then just that scene with the really mad customer, like I think those were the only scenes that I didn't like at all. It just seemed really forced, and it just seemed really forced.
Fortunately, they're not in the whole film. If that was the whole film, then I don't know. I'd be second guessing.
Yeah. And then I guess one more thing I wanted to mention about performance-wise was the son. He was probably my least favorite in this movie. I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry, man. If you ever hear this podcast, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I get where his character is coming from and like the emotions he was trying to convey like on screen, but I feel like he wasn't able to convey it well. I was almost kind of thinking I wish the whole movie was in Korean. I think it but I understand like him like being the youngest and him wanting to do his own thing, and that's why he like never spoke in Korean. Like he rarely did, you know what I mean?
He spoke Korean
only to his grandma.
He spoke Korean English.
Yeah.
Konglish.
Konglish, I guess. So like I get that, but I kind of wish all of his lines were in Korean. I think it would have been better if all of his lines were in Korean.
It's weird. I actually like that character the most because I relate to him a lot.
Really?
Well, yeah, like my Hmong is terrible. You know what I mean? And like the way I talk in Hmong is no different from how he speaks in Korean. So I'm like, man, like I sound that bad. I know I do. So when I see it and see everything, like I definitely relate to him a lot. And I think they did a great job doing that because I definitely am very empathetic towards that.
Yeah, no, I didn't mind him speaking English. Like I didn't mind that. But it was just his performance in like certain scenes where I was just like, "Eh." Like especially like the customer part, like the customer scene.
Oh yeah,
in
yeah.
the
That wasn't good.
Yeah, I was just like, I had like the highest hopes for him. Like I was just like, oh my god, like I'm rooting for you, dude. And then I was like, oh man. But I don't know if I think I was talking to Jonathan about this a little bit, but I don't like did he have a redemptive scene for me? I think one of my favorite scenes of his was actually where there was almost no dialogue, where it was just him and his dad, and they were sitting, and his dad came, you know, to visit him after their whole argument and stuff, and they were just talking about stuff, and then like his dad like puts money in his pocket, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry. That was his best scene.
Yeah.
Like that was it. That was his best scene where he almost, but yeah, he didn't have to do much in order for it to like convey the message and the emotions that he wanted to in that specific scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like his best scene was when he was with his sister and he was helping her build the bookshelf.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, like, his acting was so good in that one, and then, like, I felt like the sister's acting jumped a little down. I think it was the writing, actually.
Yeah, I think it has to be writing. It has to be the direction of how the director's directing, you know what I mean? Like, the actors. I felt like the same with the sister. Like, she was, like, up, down, up, down, up, down throughout the whole, like, movie. Like, her, in some scenes, she was so good. And she had really great lines. And then in some scenes, I was just like, okay, this is really awkward and weird at times.
Yeah.
I think the best scene for her, in my opinion, was the one with her and her mom when they were talking in her room. That was my favorite scene of hers.
The one where they're arguing, or the one where the mom's just monologuing?
Where the mom's just monologuing.
She's trying to reconcile with her?
Yeah.
That one? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought the argument scene between the both of them was really well done, too.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the argument scenes were really good.
I didn't really like the opening argument scene.
Yeah, I didn't like that. They kind of just punched you in the face. I was like, okay, hello, we're gonna argue, all right?
Really? I thought it was fine.
No, yeah.
I thought it was fine.
I think it could have been done well, but in a different way.
What did you like about the opening argument? Was it like too forced?
Yeah, it was too forced. I mean, there are a lot of movies out that where, you know, they don't have to set you up for whatever, you know what I mean? Where they kind of just like put you in the situation and you're kind of just like, okay, I'm along for the ride. But I think, I don't know if it was the writing or the acting. I don't know. Yeah, I think it could have been done well.
I thought it was fine because the opening scene set up everything already. It set up everything where it's like without really telling anything. Yeah, you already know, like, already, like with the mom speaking Korean, pretty much. Yeah. The whole like dinner scene conversation, like, you can tell like she's like that kind of mom, and then, you know, depending on how the dad reacted, that's how he plays his role in the family, and then how the son responds in like Konglish, like you can already tell, okay, he's this kind of character, and then the daughter responding how she's responding, she's like, you know, the outstanding kind of favorited child, so to speak. Yeah. So like all those four things were conveyed very well, very clearly. Like I got that immediately. I was like, oh, okay, so
yeah.
With that, you didn't, yeah.
I agree with that, but I think it was just like I said, I'm so sorry, dude. It was just the performance of the son. Like in
You
that
blaming
first
everything
scene.
on the sun?
I'm just saying, okay? Because I'm like, yeah. Sometimes I just felt his performance was really forced and didn't seem genuine at times. Yeah, especially I think, yeah,
I guess I was
maybe
blinded. I was blinded by my empathy.
maybe you should watch it again, and they'd be like,
No, I don't think so. I think just because expectations are just really high.
Maybe.
I thought he did fine, and then I
Yeah.
think, yeah, again, like I said, that the scene where he's building the bookshelf with his sister was like, he did amazing.
You know, it's weird. I don't
Yeah.
remember that scene.
Really?
I don't remember that scene. When did that scene happen?
That's the scene where it's like right after the sister makes up with her boyfriend. She goes to him and they go by a bookshelf, and then she calls him. She calls the brother on the phone while he's having a conversation about moving to LA with his friend. Like,
oh, okay.
His friend's like, "Oh, we just need you to come. Like, everything's set up for you already."
Yeah.
And then his sister calls him, and then he picks up the phone, and then she's like, "Hey, I need help bringing this bookshelf in." And they bring the bookshelf in, and they build the bookshelf, and they talk. It's there that they talk about their parents, and they talk about like the expectation of like second generation Asian Americans. And
It's
stuff
so
like
weird. Like I briefly remember it, but I don't remember that scene. That scene sounds really, really important.
It is very important, and
oh man,
and yeah, and that's why I was sad that I felt like for some reason that was one of the scenes where the daughter's performance wasn't like at its best.
Yeah.
But then I also think it's the writing, and I think the daughter actually does better when she's speaking Korean. I feel like she delivers her Korean lines a lot better than her English ones.
Yeah, that's what I felt with like the son. Like I think his performance in Korean was better than it was in English. That's what I was trying to say earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. Jonathan, what you were saying, like maybe my expectations were really high. I think they were really high, only because I was really rooting for him, and then I was kind of like let down in my perspective. Like obviously, like I want to see Asian American men like on screen, right? Like I want to see that so that like my kids can grow up and see that. But I was just like, maybe I was just putting too much pressure and expectation on him, and I was just like,
Give some grace. Give some grace. We all need it.
He had his redeeming moments, his redeeming scenes. Okay. Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Jess?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything else
Larry?
either. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I wrote down. When I was watching the film, I couldn't also help but to compare our own, experience growing up as kids and living together and stuff like that with this family. And I think that, we were quite fortunate that that mom and dad can speak English well, and they have jobs that
they had good jobs.
Yeah, they have good jobs, and they both make really good money, and that wasn't something that we had to worry too much about growing up, and even now, that's something that if the son, if I was in the son's position, mom and dad would have no problem with me leaving, when Jess, when you wanted to go to San Francisco for fashion school, of course, they were like, what, why, and all these things, but then they still let you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They still let you go, and they also helped you pay for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when I wanted to go to Illinois for school, they said yes, you can go. And so our parents are I feel like they very much are the type of parents where like they won't really say out loud that like we don't want you to go, you know.
Yeah.
But then like but they still let us go, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely like am grateful for mom and dad after watching, you know, this film.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they've always, at least for me, I can't speak for both of your experiences, but for me, like, I always feel like mom and dad support whatever it is that I want to do. And I've never heard them say no, you know? I've heard them, like, voice their concern, but I've never heard them outright say, no, you can't do that, or no, you can't go.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. Like, especially with me being the oldest when we were in high school, and then me wanting to leave home. I think that was kind of like a big thing for like our family.
Yeah.
And so like I get where the son is coming from, because you want to be able to pursue your dream and not feel like you're being held down by your family, even though that's not what it is. It's just like, you know, they want the best for you, and they want you to be able to take care of yourself. And you know, I think all like Asian parents, they want you to be happy doing what you want to do. But sometimes I think, like we've talked about this before, where you know, our parents growing up in the countries wherever they were from, Asian parents are from, like wherever, like, you know, they didn't have a lot of stuff growing up, and so like that they just sometimes project that what they want, you know, onto us, even though we
Yeah.
might not want it. But yeah, I definitely relate to the story a lot.
Yeah. Did you relate at all to the daughter's conflict with her dating somebody that like that her mom didn't approve of? Like, do you ever feel like mom and dad had like not approved of the person that you were dating?
Yeah, I mean, in high school at that
Yeah.
time, like when I was graduating high school and leaving, like obviously, like of course, mom and dad aren't gonna outright be like, "Oh my God," like they're not gonna say it to his face, but they'll say it to me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're
Yeah.
like, "You're not
Yeah.
gonna marry that person," and blah blah blah. I'm just like, "Okay, ma, whatever. Like I love him." You know, you're dumb and you're young and whatever. But yeah, I related to her. I mean, obviously not now, but at that time, yeah, I wanted obviously like mom and dad to accept the person I was dating. And I mean, mom and dad were nice. They weren't gonna like be outright rude to um, you know, the guy I was dating at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you feel like mom and dad ever disapproved of Jason because he wasn't Hmong?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, like after a while when I was dating that other guy, I think after I stopped dating him, I think mom and dad were just at a point where they're like, as long as like, you know, he loves Jesus, that's all we really care about. It doesn't matter like what race he is. Like as long as he loves you, he loves Jesus, like that's fine. So I don't think they ever really had a problem with him. And Jason was kind of like, you know, in the Hmong community already, so I think
Right.
that
Right.
helped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, you know, just curious. One thing that threw me off about this film, story-wise, like writing-wise, was the son's reaction to the grandma giving
Money.
money to
Yeah.
the parents.
Yeah.
I was it just me, or was that reaction just really weird?
It was. See, I'm telling you.
No, I'm not saying I'm not talking about the performance. I'm not talking about the acting part. I'm talking about the actual like writing of it, like
the progression of the story.
Yeah, like the progression of the story. Like I just did not see that happening, and so when he blew up, I was just kind of like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah, it kind of came out of left field. I wasn't expecting him to do that. I thought he was going to take the money. That's what I thought initially.
I thought
I
he
thought
was just gonna give the money to the parents and not say anything because he
I
loves and respects his grandma. Like that's what a good grandson would do. You
yeah,
know
yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean?
I
Like,
for some reason thought that he was gonna take the money to go so he can go to LA. You know what I mean? That's what
yeah,
I thought. But yeah, after that happened, I was like, wait, what? Okay.
He used that as a way to express his anger to his parents, right?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That, but I thought that scene was okay. I don't see what was wrong with it. Do you think
I
he
don't know.
should have?
Just I thought it was just a little out of character.
Well, the only other scene he was with his grandma, like you can tell, like he loves his grandmother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
When he was eating ramen, right? There's the previous scene earlier in the
Yeah.
film. He was eating ramen by himself, and then his grandmother comes over and
Brings acorn jelly.
brings acorn jelly, brings some food, and then he was like, "Hey, can you make acorn jelly with rice?" And then like all these like little things. That already established like a really good relationship. That he has a very endearing relationship with his grandmother.
Yeah.
And so him blowing up at his parents about the grandmother, I thought that was fine. I thought that made sense because it's like like, why are you so dependent? Or like why can't you help yourself in a way, so to speak? That to the point where you have to be dependent on your mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess he was just that on top, like that thing really triggered his anger, but like on top of like everything else just kind of snowballed right into it. So it was gonna happen eventually. But that was pretty much the trigger point where he was just gonna like, I'm sick of this. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought
now,
so I thought it was
now that
fine.
you
Yeah.
say that, yeah. Now that you say that, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And then last thing, or one of the last things I want to talk about is just like I really appreciate how much Korean they speak, but like our experience growing up as Hmong American, like I feel like we've internalized the idea that speaking Hmong is like makes you like makes you more of
Super
a
Hmong.
foreigner. You know what I mean?
Fobby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fobby, or in
Not
our
cool.
MTT is what we
Yeah,
call
yeah.
it in Hmong language,
Yeah.
which stands for Hmong Taite, which is like the
So clever.
it's the Hmong people who live in Thailand, like super Hmong, and I think that actually came from our cousins. I love our cousins to death, but they really internalized, I think, inside of us that like if we spoke Hmong, that we were MTT or like not cool or
Super
like that.
Hmong and yeah.
Right, and so I think I really appreciate that they speak a lot of Korean in the film, and to their parents. And again, it's also because like our parents like came when they were still like youth, like they were still like high school age, and
Yeah,
so
I think
like
they
they
came when they were, like,
finished.
12.
Yeah, so they finished like middle school, high school here in the United States, and so we're kind of like 2.5 generation, and so our parents understood English. So when we spoke English to them, it was fine. Like we didn't have to speak Hmong to them. We only had to speak Hmong to our
Family,
grandparents.
relatives, yeah, family
Yeah.
members, yeah.
Yeah, and our grandparents who raised us essentially.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Funny you mentioned that because like I obviously know little Hmong. Like I don't think I cannot carry a full conversation in Hmong. Like it would be
Really?
very no, I would it would be very broken and it's really sad. Like I definitely noticed this when all the stuff was going on with mom and I was in Sacramento for a while and there were so many church people coming to visit and they're all speaking Hmong to me and I was just like, oh my god, like I literally cannot think of the word to say it in Hmong and it's really sad. Like I
Yeah.
obviously want to be able to teach my kids that, but yeah, I think it'd be the project that we're working on, it'd be very interesting to work on that because it would primarily be spoken in Hmong.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be good for all of us to just be exposed to that.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Larry?
No thoughts.
Awesome. One very, very last final thought about this film. I loved how much of this film revolved around food.
Yes.
And like, there's just so much food in this film, and I think that it's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
um,
I think that's so prominent in a lot of Asian American films, I guess, because we
mhm.
saw that with A Farewell and like,
Crazy
trying
Rich
to remember.
Asians.
Yeah, Crazy Rich Asians. Like, it's food. You know, it's food that like
Yeah.
brings us like together, like family together.
Mhm.
Yeah, like there are a lot of scenes where you know like you argue with your family and then like they're like, but I still love you, come eat. You know, they're not gonna say I love you. They're just gonna
Yeah.
be like, you hungry, come eat. I'm like, okay. You know, because
Right.
that was their way of saying like I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
really
like, I still
appreciated
love
that
you.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as hopefully we get to see more Asian American films, I think we're gonna see a lot of that,
Mhm.
which is it's just pivotal in like our culture. You know what I mean? In the Asian American culture.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that final scene is super moving. Like, when he
Yeah.
finally comes back home and
Yeah, they're all
he like
together.
checks the rice cooker and there's no rice in there, so he's about to like go back to his room, but his
Yeah.
mom calls him to the table. I thought that was really moving.
Yeah.
Just the way that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the dinner they had with their auntie. Oh my god, that food looks so good. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh man. But anyway, thoughts on that, Larry?
No thoughts.
No. Okay. Any other final thoughts on this film, Happy Cleaners? Recommend, not recommend?
I would recommend this film.
How'd you rate it?
Out of 10,
Mm-hmm.
probably a 7.5.
Mm.
7.5.
Average.
Yeah. I'm telling you, if there's like a few scenes that were shot differently, it'd be an 8 for me.
Mm.
Yeah. And some of the writing changed a little bit, I think it would be 8 for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Larry?
I would definitely recommend this film for those who feel like you don't really see much of Asian American experience growing up in general, and I think this film does a very, very good job. I think it does a better job than Farewell. Farewell, I think, is more about kind of digging back into your culture roots, but this one is legit about like your life in front of you playing.
Yeah.
Like literally, I didn't like the film at first, or as in like it just reflected too much. I felt like I was watching a mirror. I wasn't watching a film. Just because there's so many things I like just relate to it.
Yeah.
But so if for those who feel like I know like Asians don't really have much to relate on besides subtle Asian traits and some other stuff, but like this film, like everyone, if you're Asian American, like you definitely will relate to this film.
It has so many subtle Asian traits in it.
Yeah. Did it have boba? It did, right?
No.
I don't think it did.
I don't think so. They had
I don't
iced
think
coffee
they had
though.
boba.
They went to Korean.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They had
pastry
pastries,
place,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The only thing missing was boba. Otherwise, like, it's legit. Like your Asian American childhood, your high school experience, your current young adult experience, your life right now. This is literally your life in front of you. So if you want a different perspective, if you want to see your life unravel before you, definitely check out this film.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. It's like the Lauryn Hill song, you know, like strumming my pain with his fingers, like, and like she goes and she hears the story of her life. Like I feel like that's kind of like similar to what was happening when I was watching this film. I was like, oh man, like they're gonna see my whole life, like, you know, like played on the screen right now, you know. And so I felt like this film, comparatively to Song Lang, this film is very modern,
Yeah.
and very like, you know, like this is today, and so I really like it. I would recommend it to anybody, especially all my Seattle friends, because you know it's gonna be at the film festival, so definitely go and see it while you still can, while tickets are not sold out. So buy your tickets quickly. But yeah, it's just I would really, really recommend this film to anybody and everybody. Yeah, it's a great film.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, so that was Happy Cleaners. Now we're moving on to Songling.
Sure. I really liked this film. I kind of knew what I was getting into, kind of not. Just from reading like the synopsis and then watching the trailer. What kind of like surprised me, but struck me as not weird, but was like the category that it was in, because it was labeled like LGBTQ.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of expecting that throughout the film. Like we didn't really get like it head on. We got subtle hints of it
Right.
but so that I don't know, that kind of surprised me a little bit.
Mm.
Just because I was like, okay, oh, it's put in this, it's listed as one of these categories. I was kind of expecting it to have more of that storyline. So that's the only thing. I was just like, oh, okay. I thought it was gonna have a bigger role in the film, but I guess it didn't, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I had subtle hints of that. Like we've talked about before already, performances by both the main characters were great. I really liked that. I don't know a lot about Vietnamese culture, like a like we know a little bit here and there. We hear about it, but I liked that it was the storyline was included like the theater performances, which is interesting because I've never seen like Vietnamese theater art performance. I looked it up and it's labeled it as like modern folk opera. So I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Like obviously we know that a lot of Asian cultures have different types of theater, but I never knew that this was, kind of guess like the Vietnamese version of it. So that was really cool to see. It was very interesting. And trying to think what else to say. Like I liked it. I just wish there was more of it. Like
why do you wish there was more?
Cause I mean cause you're like rooting for Isaac's character. Lin. Well, no, Lin is his name in the in his character's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were just kind of like rooting for him, and I feel like the friendship moved on very fast. I mean, it was just over one night, and then they were like, yeah, like they had this like bond, I guess, or friendship, which was very
connection.
Yeah, like a connection, which I thought was very interesting. Like Dung's character, he kind of seemed like standoffish, and like you don't want to mess with him because he's like kind of like the badass, like the guy, like the Undertaker.
The gangster.
Yeah,
the thug.
Like the gangster type. But then like I know with like a lot of characters like that, like there's always a backstory and stuff that went down and trauma that went down in order for that person to like be the way they are. So like I kind of figured that he was gonna be his demeanor and like the way he approached people, it would like eventually change. Like you could just feel that throughout the whole film, especially when there's a scene where he goes to someone's house and like two little girls are there, and he's like, crap. He's like, what do I do now? Like I have to like sit here and wait for his parents to get home. So you right there, like you can kind of tell that he's a softie. He's a softie at heart, but he just puts on like a really hard like look front on the outside. Yeah, hard front. So I have no idea where I was going with this.
But you wanted more.
Yeah, I wanted more for Lynn's character. At the end, because then you're like, oh man, like he doesn't even know what happens, and he's gonna be like, what happened to my friend? Like he just disappeared, like, and then like all the thoughts like, oh man, like he is like who I thought he was, you know what I mean? Like not showing up and blah blah blah. But
Yeah, you could write a part 2.
I'm good, but I'm good. But yeah, I wish there was more at the end. I was like, no. Yeah, the ending really, it was a twist for me. I was not expecting that at all.
I was not expecting it either.
Yeah, I was just like, what happened? I was like, oh no, oh no. Yeah. So it was a really good twist at the end.
Yeah, that just something on that on the ending and stuff like that. I thought it was so well done. The ending, like
the comparison, the contrast.
The switching between both scenes and stuff like that. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so like emotional right now. It's so dramatic. What's happening? I thought that was so well done. Like because Lin is like in all his gear and he's finally like reaching that point in his career where he feels like he can like really step into character, and then in the play his love interest dies, and then like in real life his love interest is dying out on the street, and then it just goes back and forth between the two, and I just thought it was really really powerful the way that was it was like edited, I guess.
Yeah I agree.
Larry,
even though I don't even though it was hard for me to follow along with the story, I still really 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 like the ending, the way it was done, the way it was technically done. And so like when it happened, I was like, okay. What actually happened, I was just like, okay, but then how they did it was like, wow, that's actually really well done. But to be honest, I thought it was expected simply because of just the nature of Dung's,
the direction.
No, just the nature of Dung's character, and like everything he's involved with, like no, like he has a reputation and no one likes him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
only one
and eventually,
person. And eventually,
like being in that line of work. Yeah,
and like only one person saw him for who he was. And I think. Like I thought the ending was really well done. I thought it was really really good. And me personally, like the opera scenes, I thought they were kind of long. Like so sometimes I would be like sitting through. I'm like, is it done yet? It's still going.
Yeah.
It's still going. I mean, okay, yeah. But like music, I know music is very very important for this film. And that's kind of like a recurring theme throughout this film. That's even how the two characters they bond, through through the music.
And the opening scene too.
And I liked that aspect, but I really thought the opera scenes were really really long.
Yeah, there were times where I was like, should I be paying attention to this right now?
Yeah.
Will this be important later on?
I know they're great performances.
Yeah.
Like it does feel like I'm sitting at a Vietnamese opera, I thought they were really well done, but they were just really really long. I'm like, I don't want to sit through an actual opera. I'm just watching a film. I just thought I didn't like that part. It just felt really really long.
I think I could see why they were doing it, because I mean, if this was technically your first Vietnamese film, then being exposed to that could have been something that directors wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or director. I don't know why I added an S to that.
Yeah, I think there's only one director on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Larry?
Otherwise, production quality is really really well done. The whole time I was trying to figure out where the film took place, or when the film took place. Because like the kind of the setting or the slum look-ish feel to it, like it's still kind of there in Vietnam, so I wasn't too sure, like, is it modern day or is it old? But then like the more things they start to lay out, the more I'm starting to kind of piece everything together. I'm like, okay, I see a Nintendo, it's in the 80s ish, late 80s ish. And you start seeing like old technology, and like throughout the whole film I thought that's really really important, because A lot of times, a lot of things can get solved by like technology and whatnot. Like story problems can be solved with technology, but
Yeah.
I really really liked the aspect of it's just being old. It has a very like nostalgic feeling to it, because we kind of grew up not in the 80s, but like in the 90s. We kind of grew up in that era. So yeah, I really really liked how they portrayed that.
Yeah. The opening scene was really good, and
It was him at the temple, right? Okay.
it was him at the temple, and he talks about how his dad, like, always said that the instrument, which is called the songlang, like, was always the thing that, like, kind of like tells you, it like essentially is the rhythm of morality in your life, you know. And like it helps you tell the difference between good and evil and stuff like that. And then he said, like, since he's left the theater, he had not felt the beat of morality ever in his life. And so, like, I thought, like, from that moment I was already hooked. Like, for me it was like that was all I needed. Like, the opening line of the film was enough for me to be like, oh, okay, this is gonna be good, because it has to do with music, it has to do with, like, you know, like, kind of like it's kind of showing his whatchamacallit, like it's showing us like the beats of his life, right? Like it's kind of leading us to know his song a little bit more. And yeah, so yeah, I did think the pacing once in a while was a little, you know, slow, but overall I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because I thought the major characters were already introduced in the first like 10 minutes, but you don't see Lin until like 30-40 minutes in.
Yeah.
So like that's why I was really confused when it started going a different direction around the halfway point. I'm like, oh, like, there's another character, and now we're talking about this. We're focusing on this. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
And it got me thinking, like, oh, okay, this film is more about the character, his life, what he kind of goes through, what we kind of see, and just how like his choice has affected him, and it's kind of led them down to this path, you know. And we start to see a little bit more of like a bonding experience he's never had.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of film, which
right.
for me, which is why I feel like I need to rewatch this film. Because I don't think I did it justice my first time around, because I wasn't like, paying attention as much.
Yeah, there was that analogy of like of the children's book too, and I thought that was really powerful. How, like, you know, how the both of them, like both of the lead characters, were feeling like they were the elephant in the children's story, the one that got sold to the circus, and how like and how they felt so out of place. And then there was parts of the book that that Dung had underlined, and he underlined one part about like being super lonely and being like feeling like he had nobody, like he had no friends, no family, and all the only people he had in his life were enemies. And so like I thought that was like, I was like, oh man, like that's super tragic. And then at the very end, it goes back to the children's book again, and then Dung is reading like how he needs to stop thinking about the past and the future, and how he just needs to live in the now. And that's what prompted him essentially to sell all his stuff and join the theater. And then it was so sad that like that he died. Spoiler alert! That he died. You know, because it's like, oh, he's finally getting his life together, and it's finally like, you know, getting to the point where he actually is gonna have meaning, and then it just gets cut short, you know.
And wasn't it he was trying to pay off that debt for that same guy?
Yeah,
but the guy didn't know. Yeah,
and the guy was, you know, mad because his family committed suicide essentially. So yeah, that was really sad. Yeah, and then he blamed Dung for what had happened. Yeah. Anyway, another thing that I really liked about the film was there was one scene, again, happened around food, where where Dung and Lin were out walking, and they went to go get food. The electricity had gone out, so they went to go get some sort of pho or something like that. I don't know what it was, but it looked really good.
Some kind
And
of
there
noodle.
was a lady coming around singing like
Yeah, I
singing
remember that.
she was singing
Mm-hmm.
like the Vietnamese opera, and like Lin just couldn't eat. He had to stop and listen, and she was singing about her life essentially, and that really reminded me about like like the Hmong style of like folk singing called gutsia, which is often sung like around New Year's, but really it's just sung whenever. And it just brought me back to our grandparents, and the stories that like that we'll never get to hear, because they're no longer with us. But um, yeah, it just did remind me a lot of the times when like grandpa or grandma would just be listening to Kutsia like full blast on their radios and stuff like that. And so I felt like that part of the film was really it was just really touching and heartwarming for me, to be able to hear music like that again, because I feel like it's been such a long time since I've heard singing like that. So yeah, I really appreciated that.
Yeah. There's there's one thing that confused me a little bit when he was talking with Lynn. They were on the rooftop. They were talking about time travel, or he was talking about time travel.
Yeah.
I really liked that
Mm-hmm.
that whole scene, and I was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's true. Like if you think about it, like if you think about an object, a person, a specific place you were at, like it does, and if you go there again, it's kind of like deja vu. Like it brings you back into that time.
Mm-hmm.
To a specific memory. So I really liked that dialogue, the whole dialogue. But then something that confused me, I think he said it later. I think it was Lynn. He said that, but remember, this isn't the first time I met you. Wasn't that first time? It was at a different time.
I don't remember
Was
that.
it
I remember that. I remember him saying
You
that.
remember that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was confused. I was like, so wait, that wasn't your first time? Because I thought the first time was when like um Dong was pouring the gasoline all over the costumes, and that was the
Yeah.
first time we saw them on screen
Yeah.
together. So I don't know if like he was referring to, maybe he did see him a different time, it just wasn't ever shown, or was he trying to imply something else? I don't know. I'd have to go back to that specific part and really
Hmm.
look at it again. I'm like,
Yeah.
did I miss something? Then was I not paying attention?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'd have to go back if you guys don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember that. Do you remember that, Larry?
I remember it, but I don't know what he was trying to say either. He could be
Yeah.
saying that they have met before, like way back when,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
he could be saying that like
Their connection through music or something, maybe.
Yeah.
yeah, like a past life sort of
Yeah.
thing. Like that's what it could be interpreted as.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That would make more sense. Because I was like, wait,
Mhm.
what? I was like, that's the
yeah,
first time
yeah,
we
not
saw.
like literally they met before,
Yeah.
but like they probably met in a past
Metaphorically.
life. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, because they have such a really strong connection.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I would agree with you, Jess, that scene where Lin is just. I feel like that's more of a monologue. He's like monologuing
Yeah.
like the thing about time travel. Like I was
Yeah.
just like, man, I could just listen to him talk here because, nothing against the Vietnamese language. The Hmong language is like this too, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
guttural,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
throaty sounds.
I
It's
I
very
thought the whole that
yeah.
I thought that the same thing. The same thing
Yeah.
the whole time I was
Like-
watching it.
Yeah, it was pretty. It's like Vietnamese is a pretty harsh language. There's a lot of tones.
Yeah.
It's very forward. And Hmong is that way too. Like
Yeah.
especially like Hmong Lang or Green Hmong is very like like has a lot of throaty sounds and a lot of hard consonants and stuff like that. But then when Lin was giving his monologue up on that roof with talking about time travel, I was just like, man, I could listen to him talk forever, because
Yeah.
the way he delivered that was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
Um,
great.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that a lot too in the film. Like in the beginning of the film, I noticed that a lot before Lynn got on the screen. And then once Lynn got on, I kind of just didn't pay attention to it anymore.
Yeah.
It kind of just like was like all the way back here, like I wasn't thinking about it. I think maybe I was like, maybe that's why like I haven't watched any like Vietnamese films, because of like because a lot of Asian like a lot of Asian, what am I trying to say? Like the
Languages.
language,
Yeah.
the language itself, sometimes it doesn't sound that pretty, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like that's our own internalized, like,
that's
like
just,
it's almost our
it's,
internalized racism towards our own
yeah,
language
yeah.
Mhm.
and our
I
own
know.
ethnic identity. It's terrible.
Yeah. I know it's terrible, but it's, I'm just like, I don't know what it is. Like sometimes it just doesn't sound as pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, but then I mean, for like the Hmong language, like I have heard like beautiful like songs in Hmong.
Mhm.
But yeah, sometimes just the language itself doesn't sound as beautiful as like some other languages might sound. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love Mandarin in the way that Mandarin sounds. I'm a huge Mandarin fan, but
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, I think Korean, I used to think Korean didn't sound that pretty. I think it's just because of maybe certain tones they would use or like wording a specific phrase or like just the intonation of certain things. I didn't like that, but now that I've seen like a lot more Korean
Yeah,
dramas and
it's more normalized for you.
yeah, it's more normalized for me now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's all we gotta do. We just gotta watch more Vietnamese films.
Yeah.
We'll
Get it more
internalize
normal.
it. Yeah.
I think it didn't help that when we went to, because when we lived in Sacramento, we'd go to like Vietnamese restaurants, they'd be like blasting
I know.
music, and I was
Okay,
like,
see, like that's what I was gonna say. Like our experience of Vietnamese language is like Vietnamese ladies like yelling out numbers and yelling at people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's everybody's yelling at each other.
Yeah.
Like that's our experience of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my experience with the Hmong language is getting lectured at, so you know. So that's all I hear.
Oh,
just
man.
them talking.
We've just had bad experiences. We just need some good ones. That's all.
we need to undo the internalized, you know, I don't know what the word is, racism, I guess, against you know our own Asian languages. And stuff.
Biases.
Yeah,
Discrimination. Not even discrimination. It's not even discrimination. It's just like propaganda.
Propaganda.
I don't know. Propaganda. It's like rewiring. We just gotta rewire the way our brain thinks about these languages.
Because sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like you know, like I was saying earlier, like it's just not cool, you know, to like in the way that we grew up, like we were taught that it wasn't cool or it wasn't, you know.
Yeah. I'm like, that's why I never hung out with the Hmong kids, because all they did was speak Hmong.
I never hung out with the Hmong kids because they're all gangsters. That's what That's what I was told. I was always told not to hang out with them. So, but yeah, like if anything, like that's all we got to do. And Jess, I was in the same boat as you too. Like same with Korean. Korean was just okay, but like the more I start to hear, the more I start to kind of pick things out, and now I start to recognize phrases. You know, without looking at subtitle. I would read the subtitle. I'm like, oh, he's gonna say thank you in Korean, but like I think I know what the phrase is, and he said it. I'm like, yes, I got it. So it takes a while to like really internalize it. And
maybe we just need to watch some Hmong movies then.
If like I always tell people, like you just gotta find something that you really really like with that. Like K-pop, there's so much K-pop out there, but there's select ones that I really 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 like. So all you gotta do is find. So we just gotta find something that's Hmong that we really 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 like. It's gonna take a while, but because there's such a small selection of it, but it's out there. You know, it's out there. Like we'll like it. So.
Yeah. One last thought on this film for me. I really like the scene where they're it's like the morning after their hangout or whatever. And like they're leaning out the window talking to each other. At first, like if you think about it, like I feel like the scene would look really awkward, you know, in general. But like the way that it was shot for some reason was just so beautiful. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this shot is like amazing. Like I would have made that the like one of the posters, you know, like one of the alternate posters for the for the film. Because I was just so amazed by the coloring, the position of like the actors. Like where the camera was positioned to, and and the way that like the apartment, like the outside of the apartment framed them, you know?
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, I really love that.
Whenever we do our movie, I want that guy to direct our movie because it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It's gonna be all in Vietnamese. Are you sure?
Stupid. No.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts? If not, we'll go to our final thoughts and recommendations.
I don't think so. I'm
Okay.
good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Jess, what are your final thoughts? And do you recommend this film?
My final thoughts. Yes, I would recommend this film. It was very good. For my first Vietnamese film, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I was very impressed by the acting, the directing, cinematography. I was just kind of blown away by it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
What's your rating?
Probably an 8. An 8.
Pretty good.
Pretty high. Yeah,
Pretty good.
That's
8.
pretty high, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty good. Larry?
Yeah, see, so I don't know if I feel comfortable recommending it, only because I feel like I need to watch it again. Because I feel like I missed a lot of things the first time around, which I shouldn't have. And
Yeah.
this
Gosh,
film sounds
Larry.
way better than what it. The film sounds way better than how I initially thought it was. You know
Yeah,
what I
because
mean?
after hearing me and Jessica talk about it.
Yeah, I'm like, how did I miss all this? Like, am I missing something? So it seems like this film is very it's up there in terms of like artisticness.
Yeah.
Which is really, really, to be honest, I think that's really surprising. Because the other Vietnamese films I've seen were not anywhere like this. Not very artistic, not very character based. Still very well done character based films, but like the other 3 Vietnamese films I've seen were all action films. So straight up fighting, straight up all this, all these crazy stuff.
You gotta branch out, Larry.
Hey, those are the only Vietnamese films I had access to, okay? So that's why.
Yeah.
But there was a little bit of action in this film. Not as much, just a little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah, it caught my attention. I'm like,
bar
ooh,
fight
fighting.
scene.
Like, ooh, they fighting. I'm watching. those are the scenes those are the scenes I remember.
Those are really well done too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like Vietnamese action films, like they're really well done. They're really well done. So I'm not surprised this one was actually pretty well done too. But yeah, so I don't feel comfortable recommending and not recommending this film. But I do like it, and I feel like I think I need to, like, just the look, the production. It's very high quality, very top notch. But this is a very artistic film. Like I said, it's very slow pacing. Really, really, really long opera scenes that maybe last 5-10 minutes longer than they need to. But they're important to the film, so that's why they're there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I really have to say. So.
I really, really like this film. It's very sad though. So like you have to go in with the right mindset. I woke up, I think, on like a lazy Saturday or something like that, and was like, okay, like cool, I don't have anything to do, I'm just gonna watch this film. And it was like the bad idea to like roll out of bed and just put on this film because I was like sad for the rest of the day. But yeah, it's such a beautiful film. In my thoughts, I put that the 2 main leads are actually like really attractive and really handsome. Like at least in my opinion, in my opinion they are.
Like Dung's character, he's very like rugged and like. Yeah, I think he fit that role perfectly. And then Lynn's character is more like the pretty boy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they both have very like a attractiveness to both of them.
Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, the director probably got on like the Crazy Rich Asians train and was like, you know what? Southeast Asian men are not like an exception to the trying to prove the stereotype wrong that Asian men are not attractive. So
yeah, there's a shirtless scene too.
Oh, there's many. There's like 3 or 4. Oh, man. Yeah, so definitely would recommend this film to especially all my friends in Seattle, because you get the opportunity to see it. It's going to be playing. I'm going to give dates for both of these films at the very, very end of this podcast. But yes, please, please, please go see it. And if you want to go see it with me, I'm more than welcome to, or more than happy to go and see it with you. Yeah. I think those are my thoughts. I don't know if I would give this a rating.
No?
It would be
Am
8.
I the only one
It
that
would be
rates
like
movies?
it would be like 8 or 8.5 for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the verge of 9, I think. Because it's really good. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
combines like my passions.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Last plug for the Seattle Asian American Film Festival. Again, big thanks to them for giving us the screeners for these films so we could review the films for the festival. Happy Cleaners is going to be playing on Sunday, February 23rd at 6:30 at the Broadway Performance Hall. And then Songlang is going to be playing that same weekend on Saturday, February 22nd at 6:30 at the same venue, the Broadway Performance Hall. You can go to seattleaaff.org to buy a pass for the entire weekend if you plan on going to go see all the films and stuff that are coming out, or you can just buy individual tickets for any of the films that sound interesting to you. And the two that we talked about today are definitely playing, and so yeah, definitely go see it. We'd love to hear your thoughts too after you go and see these films. Awesome. All right, thank you all so much for tuning in to The Outside Story. We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.